darker mountains ahead foreshadow what's coming. We're nearing the north end of the mine. The work zone is about to end. No signs, no fanfare. But the road narrows. The pavement gets older, showing the wear of years. The next part of the trail begins. It's time to seriously twist and climb. It's a mystery why. There are no good motorcycle videos about the Coronado Trail. Nope, you won't find any. AZ-191. Some still call it Route 666. For whatever reason, the Devil's Highway has a curse on motorcycle videos. It's impossible to make a successful video about this road. It's never been done. Many have tried. They've used every gimmick in the book. Fancy editing, expensive cameras, spooky music, special effects. The curse don't care about none of that stuff. You might as well whistle past the graveyard and hope to hell you don't fall over one of these cliffs and be forgotten forever. No one's going to care that you almost got the first drone video of a big-ass elk standing in the middle of the road. Coronado doesn't have any tree of shame for your broken parts, like that weekend warrior festival called the Tail of the Dragon. Out here in the middle of fucking nowhere, you won't find any vendors selling t-shirts saying, "I survived the Coronado Trail," like at the Dragon. There are no killboy photography corners where social media influencers line up hoping to record a crash. If you lose it out here along the Coronado, you're on your own, buddy. No one will remember your bones. The closest airport is 3 hours away in Tucson. Visitors actually try to avoid the Devil's Highway. They don't flock to it like the Dragon, getting over 1 million visitors a year. Don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing the Dragon. I'm just saying the Dragon and the Devil are wildly different things. One's a convenient sprint, the other's a remote marathon. One challenges you quickly with 318 curves packed into 11 miles and 600 feet elevation gain. The other tortures you slowly with 460 curves over 124 miles and 5,000 feet elevation gain. One is intense and relentless for a short while. The other demands stamina and skillful adaptability hour after hour. One has the glitzy vibes of a motorcycle hall of fame. The other is avoided like a scary ghost story before bedtime. Many riders return to the Dragon again and again to see if they can beat their last run time. On the other hand, other riders do the Coronado Trail once to say they've done it and beg off ever doing it again. It's for sure the Dragon has many successful motorcycle videos. Now isn't that something? It's not surprising. The Dragon isn't cursed, not like Coronado. Where that curse came from is legend, of course. And everyone has a different legend they like to tell. I'm going to be different. I'm not going to tell you a legend. I don't have any to tell. I only have my experience riding the trail. Problem is, how do I let you know what that experience is like? And there's more to the experience than just riding the trail. You have to get there first. There isn't a whole lot of reason to come out this way. You have to want to get lost, get out somewhere remote. I rode 250 miles the day before I did the trail just to get into the neighborhood. Then on the day of the ride, I went another 144 miles just to get to the start of the trail. By that time it was early afternoon already, and the trail takes 3 or 4 hours to complete. At this time of the year, that doesn't leave much time before sunset. That means darkness, and that would be a major problem. I can't even drive a car in the dark. No night vision for it. The prospect of navigating the trail's north woods in the dark on a motorcycle added more suspense than I cared for. And since the trail is cursed, you can bet on the unexpected. The weather was supposed to be nice all day, but by late morning, clouds started to appear. By early afternoon, when we started our run up the trail, those clouds had puffed up, gathered, and turned dark. On the trail, we could see off to the west thunderstorm cells dumping localized downpours. It was hard to tell if they were coming our way. Even if they didn't, I wasn't out of the woods yet, literally. All those dark clouds packing tight in the western sky were blocking more and more of the last bits of sun for the day. Darkness was coming before sunset, the way it looked. There was nothing to do but keep on up the road. There are no services, no help, little or no cell phone coverage, and it's rare to see any other traffic, so forget about flagging down a driver for help. I can imagine a Devil's Highway legend that warns travelers, beware the highway. It'll lure you in, and once you commit to it and get really remote up its curves, that's when things will change in the spookiest ways possible. When you let yourself go and you dance with the devil, it takes a while to understand. The devil is a master of deception. It's a shapeshifter, a chameleon, always a seducer, and a two-faced grifter. It prides itself on keeping you off balance. One moment you enjoy it, the next you feel the bottom fall out and it feels like you're falling. But there's no way to fall in a straight line. Staying alert is not enough. You must anticipate the deception. Twisting, hairpin, sweeper, straightaways, in chaotic succession. A wild throw of the dice on a slanted table, a 10% grade, off-camber lanes, potholes at the apex, potholes made to look like shadows, shadows shiny like oil slicks, pockets of faded, discolored asphalt coated with dust, camouflage the same color as the rocks and gravel in your path. Your back tire hits a rock and slips left. There's no place level. Inclines change in the middle of a turn. First gear hairpins, third gear climbs, second gear engine braking. No chance to stop. Nowhere to go except down the faded middle line. Drop-offs on your left, then round the corner, and now they drop off on the right. No guardrails, no shoulder, then a rocky shoulder, then a rock wall instead of a shoulder. Sunlight comes and goes. Shadows look deeper than they ought to be. You're lost in a landscape designed to tease, tempt, and torment you. You have to set a steady pace, but the path is so long. There's still over 100 miles to go. Doing it is enough of a challenge. Being able to keep doing it hour after hour is the question. To make the entire run without stopping can only be done in a zone where you've left time behind. But to go there is a devilish trick. Once you slip time, to make the hours compress, the deception hits you. Time didn't compress. It simply became timeless. The result is the feeling of having to do this for eternity. It's what you love to do, but do you truly want to do it for eternity? You hear a wicked laugh and you know for sure the trail has got you good in a bad way. We're climbing 5,000 feet, but along the way, somehow we go down and then back up, then down and back up again. It's all part of the deception. The trail is imperative to keep us off balance as much as possible. Somewhere, miles in front of us, is the Blue Vista Scenic Overlook, with a panorama across ponderosa pine forests and deep canyons teeming with wildlife, like elk, deer, black bear, and even wild turkey. Any of those critters might be in our path, around a blind curve, a surprise collision no one wants. Among the pines and fall are fiery aspens and oaks. We'll know we've completed half of the trail when we reach Hannigan Meadow Lodge. At that point, it's about 60 miles in thick forest to get back through the small town of Alpine to our motel in Springerville. But it's useless to think of that now. This is no time for thoughts to wander. Paying attention and being present in the moment is a full-time job. There'll be time later to check out the history of the trail. Learn all about the Spanish conquistador Francisco Vasquez de Coronado. In 1540, he led an expedition of 2,000 men, along with horses, pigs, and friars, through this rugged terrain in an ill-fated hunt for the fabled 7 cities of Cibola, a glittering metropolis rumored to hold lots of gold. Coronado's party was one of the largest European incursions into North America. They clashed with indigenous Pueblo peoples and Apaches. The expedition yielded no treasure, only hardship, including mutinies and scurvy. Perhaps the curse of the Devil's Highway was active even back then. By the late 1800s, this same path evolved into a wagon trail for teamsters hauling supplies from northern settlements to booming copper camps in Clifton, Morenci. Paved in stages during the 1920s and 30s under New Deal projects, it became a vital link for loggers and miners. In 1926, Arizona Governor George W.P. Hunt favored its development and credited the Hannigan Meadow Lodge as a linchpin in fending off commercial logging threats. The trail was finally designated a National Scenic Byway in 1991. Calling the highway 666 was simply a clerical detail. The mother road, Route 66, was made to span the country. Offshoots of Route 66 were eventually created. The Coronado Trail was the 6th offshoot of Route 66, so following number conventions at the time, 6 would be added to 66 in naming the road. No attention was given to the biblical references. That came later as the road developed an infamous reputation. Pressure from public groups, especially Native American groups, got the name finally changed, and AZ-191 came into being. But locals still grin and wink and remind visitors to be sure to pay attention when in the area and respect the Devil's Highway. The trail is remote, relentless, beautiful, and ugly, unforgiving, and if you concentrate on it long enough, diabolical. Some call it a cursed scar cutting through the natural world. Many scoff at all the paranormal stories collected over the years, but just as many wouldn't be caught dead traveling the trail at night. I invite anyone who laughs at these mysteries to get in their vehicle at night by themselves in Morenci, then travel the trail all the way up to Springerville, 124 miles in the dark, on the loneliest twist of road you'll find. But I dare you not to be creeped out when you really don't feel alone. Yeah, there's lots of superstition and fakery, and the road wasn't really renamed trying to get rid of the devil. There were economic impacts. When people don't feel safe, they stay away. Plus, the highway department kept losing road signs. For some odd reason, people kept stealing the 666 signs. Many rumors and stories have accumulated going way back. News items that only locals still remember add to the mix. News about curses and hauntings and tragedies. Tales about missing time. There's the vanishing girl in white. A ghost story about a young girl in a white dress, hitchhiking along empty stretches near the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest. Drivers stopped to help, only for her to vanish when approached. Some claim she whispers warnings of danger before disappearing. Some link her to early 20th century settler deaths from exposure or accidents. This is only one of many hitchhiker ghost stories linked to sections of Highway 666. People also talk about skinwalkers and shapeshifters. Navajos describe skinwalkers, malevolent witches who shapeshift into coyotes or wolves, prowling the highway's Navajo Nation adjacent areas. Reports include glowing-eyed animals darting into traffic, causing swerves and crashes, or humanoid figures with elongated limbs chasing vehicles. One 1990s account from a trucker near Window Rock describes a half-man, half-dog slamming against his rig before evaporating. You can also hear about demon dogs and hellhounds. Packs of snarling, yellow-eyed dogs with unnatural speed are said to pursue cars at night, especially near sacred sites like Shiprock. Witnesses report them materializing from shadows, forcing drivers off cliffs. These tie into Apache devil dances performed at the road's 1920s dedication, interpreted as warding off evil. And watch out for the devil's black sedan. Around dusk, a sleek black car with no plates allegedly tails drivers before accelerating into the horizon. Some say it's the devil himself, luring victims into breakdowns or illusions. A 1980s motorcyclist near Morenci claimed it rammed him off the road, only to find no trace upon waking. So they renumbered the road, but that hasn't stopped the bizarre stories and the occasional weird news events. They don't get much notoriety, but they keep coming. People even share photos of orbs of light captured during trips along the highway. Drivers and hikers report blackouts, emerging days later with no memory. A 1985 couple near Alpine vanished for 72 hours. Their car was found intact, but the onboard clock had stopped. They claim visions of shadow people pulling them into a fog. Reports like this are similar to the Skinwalker Ranch phenomena, also linked to electromagnetic anomalies near sacred Navajo sites. People also puzzle over abandoned vehicles. There are multiple cases involving cars found running on the roadside with keys in the ignitions, but no occupants. In 1992, there was a pickup truck near Safford containing a woman's purse and uneaten lunch, but she was never found. Searchers reported compasses spinning and whispers in the brush. One report from 2010 details how a motorcyclist's bike was found and the rider reappeared 48 hours later with amnesia. Mexican migrants ran into problems when they entered the territory of the Devil's Highway. Survivor stories describe hallucinations of demons and vanishing companions who haven't been found to this day. Don't forget about the accidents. There's been plenty of pileups along these curves and 10-mile-an-hour hairpins. A 1990 head-on collision killed 5, including 2 families. They say it caused by fog and poor visibility, but locals claim it was cursed winds. By the 1990s, the highway ranked among Arizona's deadliest roads with over 20 fatalities a year. Locals still remember the 1983 Morenci mine hauler crash. A massive 2-story high ore truck lost control near Clifton, plummeting into a ravine and killing the driver and 2 passengers. Eyewitnesses report ghostly laughter echoing from the wreckage, which ties in nicely with the many ghostly legends about the mine. This only gives credence to the Beast of the Highway nickname, with an average of about 15 annual fatalities. There are lots of near misses too. Drivers post online their dash cam clips of close calls around curves. Feeding into the highway's reputation is the fact that many of the paranormal stories remain unexplained, despite public and private attempts to resolve them. There's plenty of strange stuff to look into about this road. Historical accounts, eyewitness reports, and details of current investigations can keep you busy. For most people, it's easy to dismiss talk of the paranormal. Hearing about something like this will never be the same as experiencing it for oneself. But the road is out here for those who want to try their luck in having an experience of their own. After climbing and twisting for quite a while, and who knows how many miles, suddenly the road flattens out, straightens up, and we emerge on a gigantic, beautiful plain of grasses dotted with trees. Nothing made by humans in sight for as far as one you can see. It's quite a respite, a relief in a way from the relentless climb and twist, but you would be very mistaken if you settled into any comfort just about now. Remember, the devil is a trickster, master of deception. It relishes keeping you off balance, teasing you, baiting you with what you think you want or need. And just when you think something is going to go one way, the devil takes it away, throws you a curve, dips you back down in what you shouldn't expect and never anticipated, but now must deal with. Gentle at first, the straightaway begins to bend. Before long, the bend starts to slightly dip. In a short while, the dip casually slips into a sweeper. The mild sweeper out of the blue begins to hug a drop-off. The drop-off mesmerizes with its distant details, light and shadow, rolling hills, and steep ravines. The distraction seduces you to let down your guard in favor of sightseeing. But sightseeing is a risky endeavor while riding the trail. Staring off into the scenery will rob you of the vigilance you need one moment to the next. After so long without seeing any other traffic, a work truck may come around a corner and surely will startle you out of any daydream you were entertaining. It's easy to get used to seeing no other traffic. You begin to take it for granted, which is quite risky if you decide to cut corners across the double line, because chances are nothing's coming the other way by now. The sight of another vehicle after so long without seeing one jerks you alert. You're back in traffic, and all the tense feelings of concentration that go with it. It's a good reminder while you ride this marathon. It snaps reality back into your face. This isn't a dream, even though the devil would like to seduce you into relaxing into one and let down your guard. This is a marathon, and this is how a marathon feels. It keeps coming at you. It's not about finishing anymore. It's about being in the zone where finishing no longer matters. The ability to keep going is all that matters. It could be a mile or 100 miles at this point. After so long in the saddle, it's all the same. Staying in the moment is the name of the game. Some say the whole universe is a simulation. When you're out in a place like this, you have to wonder. The marathon feeling of it stretches time into eternity. And the wide open spaces, the way the natural world envelops you, it projects space all around you. It all becomes performance art, like flying through an impressionistic painting. Funny to say, but the sky seems even lower out here. The clouds so close, so real. They shine with a depth unreal, like something imagined by an elaborate prompt fed to an AI. But there's no seatbelts on the motorcycle, no way to buckle in. You're taking the magic carpet ride through a simulation that's deadly real. It becomes difficult to separate being a spectator and a participant. You are part of the painting, but you must remember, it moves and is unforgiving. Once along the trail, I came upon a rock the size of a cantaloupe. I twisted the handlebars and my front tire missed it, but my back tire caught a piece of it, just enough to jerk and slip the back end sideways. The bike recovered quickly. I was on my way. No big deal this time. But nudges like this wake you up to the possibilities. One moment a spectator, the next a serious participant. Knowing the difference and constantly blending the two takes concentration when you ride hour after hour without stopping. I remember a story a biker friend told me about his experience being a participant on the trail years ago. He came around a curve and saw a chunk of rock in his path too late. He hit it square on, and the bike lost control, speeding into a rock face. He totaled the bike, broke his collarbone, and messed up his hand. His only good luck was being able to make a call to his wife. She had to drive hours from Phoenix to pick him up. They also arranged for a truck to drive hours to come out to pick up the bike. My friend was staying in a cabin in Hannigan Meadow Lodge, many miles from the crash site. All of his things were still back in the cabin. When his wife arrived on scene, she had to drive him up the trail to the lodge to collect his things and check out. She did not enjoy driving the car hours and hours along the trail. And my biker friend, he didn't enjoy her jerky steering in the curves. With every curve, he shifted his broken collarbone. When the mechanic back in Phoenix took a look at the bike, he suggested to my friend it would be better to buy a new bike than try to fix the broken pieces that were left. So he got the new bike, but he did not take that new bike back to the trail. When those tight hairpin curves finally thin out and the climb becomes a tree-lined swirl of sweepers, the temptation is to speed up, get out of third gear for good, and you might get away with it for a while. But remember when the good book said, "Lead us not into temptation." The trail is still the trail. It knows what you want to do, but it always has a few tricks ready to serve up. There are 3 main tricks to watch out for. First, the road condition. This far back into nowhere, you can be sure that the highway department hasn't made your next curve its priority. Not for years. You're entering a zone that specializes in neglect. Some of the forest up ahead is even burned. When you add the burn and the thinned out trees to a road pot-marked with bomb craters for potholes, one gets a strong sense that what you're riding through is a war zone. Some of it actually looks like this is where the battle took place. It's quiet now, deadly quiet, but the road still holds the scars of all the tremendous violence it has seen. Being deep in the isolation of the White Mountains lets one suspend disbelief, and the feeling comes over you. Anything is possible, and the war may not be over. The combatants may be in hiding, and at any moment, more bombs may fall. The condition of the road. That's the first trick the trail has at this point in the journey. These might be sweepers, but speeding over damage won't work out well. The second trick is a creeping feeling that squeezes anxiety out of common sense. It's logical to think the deeper one gets into the wilderness, the better chance you have on encountering wildlife. If an animal was going to be in the road, logic says we're getting into the most likely place to run into them. I remember a story a fellow biker told me about his run up the trail years ago. He came around a sweeper only to find a big elk standing in the middle of the road. Luckily, my friend had time to stop, and where he stopped, he stayed for a while. There was nothing else to do but wait until the large animal decided to move on. While he waited, he hoped other traffic didn't come around the bend and make things worse. When the elk did move, eventually, it surprised the biker with its agility and climbing ability. The elk climbed up a rock face like it was an easy stroll. The biker rode on, but now wondering about bears and coyotes that might be next. That's the trail's second trick. Animals are more likely. The third trick is the chaotic unknown, always present along the trail, but even more so now. You upshift and increase your speed. After all, these are sweepers. We can go faster now. But the trail won't let you relax with that. It sprinkles in a few tight radius curves, and blind curves with drop-offs across from them, just to make things interesting. So enjoy that burst of speed while you can. Before you know it, you'll be downshifting again, and looking out for what you hope won't be there. If you've never ridden the Coronado Trail and are thinking of doing it, well, I certainly recommend doing it and finding out for yourself. Before you do that, there are a few things to consider. To begin with, the time of the year for this depends on what you're willing to deal with. I imagine for most people, winter is out. To give you an example, Hannigan Meadow Lodge receives an annual average snowfall of 150 inches. Even higher elevations reach 200. At an elevation of 9,100 feet where the lodge is, the average peak snowpack reaches about 60 inches, with snow typically remaining on the ground from late November to early April. But Hannigan is not an exception when it comes to snow. The snow falls along the entire length of the Coronado Trail in Arizona, particularly at higher elevations, as one might expect. The trail is located high up in the White Mountains and receives significant snowfall throughout its length from Springerville all the way down to the Morenci area. Heavy winter snows can cause sections of the highway to close, although the portion between Springerville and Alpine generally remains open after plowing. Well, if not winter, how about summer for the ride? Summer weather along the Coronado Trail in Arizona features warm, dry days, followed by the distinct possibility of intense, localized monsoon thunderstorms from mid-June through mid-September. While daytime temperatures are often in the upper 90s, humidity is low in the early summer months. The monsoon season brings a risk of flash floods, and visitors should be prepared for sudden heavy rainfall. And I know for a fact in these parts, looking outside in the morning and seeing clear skies is no indication that by afternoon those skies will still be clear. Thunderstorms build up quickly out of clear skies, and they dump rain and hail with their lightning. So if you like hot weather, summer may be your time. Just be ready to get wet and maybe deal with a few washouts. And if winter and summer has issues, that leaves spring and fall. We all know what snowmelt in spring can do to mountain roads. So you have to wait late enough in spring to avoid all of that. That leaves a narrow window between spring snowmelt and summer monsoons. And from what I've seen from around here, weather forecasting is definitely not an exact science. I did the trail in fall, the beginning of October. It's still risky then, especially if you've had a late monsoon that year. But you won't have to deal with snowmelt or winter road closures. Just beware that the days get shorter in fall. You'll have less light for less time. And there are other things to consider if you're going to do this. Among bikers, you can stir up a mighty fine discussion right away if you ask them which way is best to ride the trail, north to south or south to north. Every biker has their preferred way, and there are good reasons to stick to it, which they'll be happy to share with you and anybody else who will listen. There's no one correct way to go for everybody. The southern section of the trail, just north of the Morenci mine, that part is packed with the highest concentration of sharp curves and requires the most technical ability to manage the twists. Some riders like to get that section over first, then climb into the forest to find the relatively smoother sweepers. Some riders would rather climb a mountain on a bike than make a run down a mountain, especially near drop-offs. If you like to climb, going south to north would suit you better. If you like to warm up in the sweepers and then later deal with the technical twists, and you don't mind running down a mountain, then north to south may be your thing. It also depends on where you are staying and where your start and end points are. If you're doing the full loop, Springerville to Morenci and back again in the same day, then you have two ways to do it. You can go down the trail to Morenci, turn around and return back up the trail. Not many do this, I believe, because that means running the full length of the trail once each way in the same day. That seems to be the ultimate endurance marathon of this area. Most only want to do the trail one way in a day. and most prefer heading south to Morenci on the less difficult AZ-180 and then starting the south to north trail run from there. There are several ways to do it, and you need to pick a way that matches your level of stamina, pacing, and skill. Another thing to consider is the type of bike you're going to ride. Of course, any bike can go up this road, but some can go up easier than others. As one might expect, adventure bikes shine for handling mixed conditions. Sport bikes will excel in the technical sections, but might tire on long hauls. Cruisers will need strong brakes and rider stamina for the climbs. Trike riders better have lots of upper body strength and stamina. Finally, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. A decision to do the trail also requires an honest inventory of one's skill level in riding motorcycles beforehand. Yes, anyone can ride the trail. No one is going to stop you. There are no auditions, written tests, or entrance fees to enter this marathon. But anyone who has ridden this road knows, and it's obvious enough to say, this is no road for beginning riders. If you're still watching this, I'm surprised. You must like marathons. If you're still watching this, you might be a good candidate to ride the Coronado Trail. Of course, the trail takes 4 hours, non-stop. If you think this video is unbearably long, just think what riding the trail must be like. And you don't just watch it, you have to do it. You need to stay with it, keep in control, watch out, and be ready for anything the next moment throws in your path. To get a better impression of what the trail marathon is like, I suggest watching this video 4 times in a row, one viewing after another. And remember, this video was recorded with a camera that stabilizes the picture. To get a more true feeling for the ride, watch this video 4 times in a row and bounce up and down in your seat the whole time while watching. I'm just kidding, of course. No video or watching a video can recreate any experience in all its glory and anguish, but it might give enough of an impression on the boundary of reality, enough for a viewer to get the itch to do it for themselves or not. While making this video, the big question loomed in the background. and challenged me to answer it. The question is, will I ride the Coronado Trail again? Will I seek it out and make that run again? If I did, which way would I go? South to north? Or would I try north to south the next time? Before I can answer, incredibly I ask myself again, would I do it both ways on the same day and cross that off my bucket list? And why would I put that on my bucket list to begin with? I don't have a bucket list. But if I did, I would think it only makes sense to list pleasurable, pleasant things. The more pleasant, the better. I guess bucket lists reflect the people who make them. Some go for creature comforts, some for challenges. Some want to appear in the Guinness Book of World Records. I have no such lofty aspirations. I figure after I'm gone, no one will give a shit about my bucket list, including me. If I'm in a better place, who cares about all of this? And if I'm not in a better place, worse things will preoccupy me. But it is a good question, and I know the answer to it. I know the day after I did the trail, I saw a low probability of me ever putting that on my schedule again. But I also know that a year from now, I will have had a year to let all of that tiredness and tension slip away. Instead, I'll remember only the thrills of the turns and the beauty of the scenery. I'll only feel the exhilaration of the sweepers and the sense of satisfaction when rolling through the last mile. In other words, sure, I'll do the trail again. I'm more familiar with its tricks now. The unknown is always blown up bigger in our imaginations. But for what it's worth, I've run the trail. No part of it is unknown to me now. I know it can pack a lot of surprises, and those can never be known in advance. But in knowing the road better, I feel more prepared to manage those surprises. It's different when you read about a place and it's blown out of proportion for effect to add drama. But the same badass place you read about is tamed quite a bit by the experience of going there and doing whatever it has to offer. A year from now, I might return to the White Mountains for more rides. And if I do, I bet the trail will be one of them. Not for any trophy, just for the experience. Given everyday life, unique experiences like this are rare to find and good to embrace. has a story about the trail after they ride it. I have mine. I've had some fun in this video playing up the mystique about the famed Devil's Highway, infamous Route 666. Some people really get into that angle of it. They quote scripture, Revelation 13:18, the number of the beast. Of course, a lot of what's said about places like this is just hype, coming from people who like getting attention being dramatic. On the other hand, I would never discount the real possibilities in any situation. I've had mysterious things happen to me in my life. I don't share those things often. Whenever I did, people didn't take me seriously. They thought I was being dramatic. It's neither right or wrong. Both are true. People get overly dramatic, but it's also true that real drama does happen in life. If such things happen to you, it's best to keep them to yourself. That's what I've always been told. But I wouldn't be complete in this video if I left out my story. I said the trail is a trickster. It seduces, then deceives. I said at the beginning that my main fear was being caught in a place where I had to ride at night. I only have vision in one eye, and I have no night vision. So as the late afternoon sun faded, I got concerned. When dark storm clouds in the western sky hit the setting sun, I got worried. As the trail spun its sweepers deeper into the dark forest, I began to have problems seeing the road. This was not good. At this point, we were only halfway done with the trail. We had 60 miles left to go in forest to get back to Springerville. It was obvious the trail was trapping me in 60 miles of darkness. There was a point where I didn't know what to do. Call it panic. It was more a stark realization. At the same time, the battery in my camera died. The trail was not going to let what happened next be recorded. I moved up behind the group leader. The only thing I could do was fixate on his tail and brake lights. For 50 miles, I locked in on those lights. They were my only guide through the dark forest. I couldn't see the road. Without them, I couldn't have gone on. I got back to Springerville in the dark. After so many hours, the trail's worst surprise had been at the end. It had tried to take me. That was the feeling of it. For those who'd like to do the trail, I have one more recommendation. Never do it alone.